So as much as I'm a fan of a classic wardrobe or an antique piece of technology that still functions in the year 2025, I also love new technology. I am a field service manager for a medical device company, and I have always been a bit of a tech head ever since I was a little kid. I always used to take apart electronics and try to understand how they worked, and then when I went to high school, I went to a tech school and I took electronics for 4 years while I was there, and I went to college and did a little bit of computer science before I dropped out and decided to start my career sans the college degree, which actually worked out really well for me and continues to work out well. I can make a video about that another time. But I love talking about tech, especially with other people who care about tech. And I realize the people watching this channel after the first few videos that I've made may not be of that ilk. But I really want to talk about these new headphones that I have because I really, really love them in every way. Like how they look, their curb appeal, the way they fit, the way they feel, the way they sound, and most importantly, all of their physical buttons. And if you're into tech, that may actually be a dead giveaway right there based off of how many headphones out in the market right now actually have physical buttons. But before we get into that, first, let's talk about headphones I've used over the years. So I've always been a big fan of Sony headphones. I've tried Bose, I've tried Beats, which are really just downscaled Bose. I would never buy anything made by Apple because they're Apple, and I have a lot of qualms with them. Even though they do have some stuff that they do well, it ain't headphones, in my opinion. And so, looking at the Sony headphones that I've had over the years, I've been using the XM line. So these are the Sony XM3s right here. I got these when they first came out, like back in the day. They have some really good sound to them. I think at the time they were reviewed as having one of the best sound packages overall, as far as a large over-ear headphone. They are Bluetooth. I want to say they're Bluetooth 4.0 is what was available at the time. Active noise canceling, as well as pass-through, as well as just off, like no active or passive pass-through, just kind of like nothing. They do not have any touch sensitivity, if I recall. Actually, you know what? I was wrong on that. They do have touch sensitivity, volume control. So on the side here, you can see they do have two physical buttons, or maybe you can see if I can get the lighting just right. They do have two physical buttons right here. It is the power button and then the button that you would use either to activate your voice assistant on your phone or to switch between noise cancellation modes. So you press and hold the power button for about 3 seconds. You get a little blink of a green light that lets you know they're on. You also hear a voice inside the headphones say power on. And then you've got your noise control button, which will switch between active noise canceling, active pass-through, and no effect, I guess. I'm not really sure what the point of that one was. Or you can press and hold it for your voice assistant, which would be your, your Hey Google or whatever. I never really used that because it was not quite sensitive enough to use the in-headphone microphones clearly. I don't know why I always had issues with it. But these were great. I had these for years. I loved them until it got to the point where they were starting to have connectivity issues. They would cut out, they would do wonky things, they wouldn't hold a charge. These fold flat this way. So you can see the whole ear cup folds flat, and then also they fold in on themselves, which is kind of interesting. They don't necessarily get flatter that way because they do get a bit taller when you stack them, but you can almost shove them into your pocket if you have like big pockets in jeans or something like that. So that I always thought was a cool feature. They did come with a semi-hard case that you could carry them around in, and they have a 3.5mm headphone jack as well. So if you wanted to just use them as regular headphones, you could. The first downside I noticed to these was the touch control on the ear cup, which there's no markings for, but you would swipe up or down on the ear cup. You don't feel any kind of like a tactile kickback on the ear cup when you do this. You would just slide up or down, and that's your volume, and you would slide back or forth towards the front of your head or the back of your head on the right ear cup to change tracks forward or backward. That touch sensitivity was very finicky, and it got more finicky if you were sweating, if there was sweat on the headphone on the outside of the ear cup, or if your fingers were wet at all. You really couldn't control that with much ease, and that got frustrating. And then on top of that, the fact that you had to have them off to be charging. You couldn't plug the power cable. It's a USB Type-C on the left ear cup. You couldn't have the power cable plugged in and be listening to them. As soon as you plug the power cable in, they turn off automatically, which is frustrating. Like the one place that it would be easy to charge and use these at the same time is the one place you would probably use them the most, which is sitting at your desk in front of your computer. You could have them plugged in with a good long USB-C cable that doesn't bother having them on your head and moving around, and they'd be charging while you were using them. So then when you need to disconnect from your laptop or your PC and walk away, they're 100% charged. That would be ideal, but you can't do it. So years later, when I had to upgrade, I upgraded to the XM5s, these right here. So same Sony, same sort of like overall line, just the newest model. These have a slightly different design to them, and some of the features have changed or been improved or been removed entirely. But the same issues that I have are still there, including some new ones. So much more comfortable, better padding. They still fold flat this way, but they no longer do the like roll onto themselves and turn into a ball trick. I guess they decided that wasn't useful enough. Still have a 3.5mm jack, still charge USB-C. I think these are Bluetooth 5 or 5.1. So good distance, good solid signal, great audio quality. These have an LDAC codec, so they can, I think, stream at 24 bitrate audio. So not quite like 32-bit or lossless audio like you would get out of something like Tidal. And I guess nowadays Spotify is trying to upgrade to that too, but that's been a long time coming. It will be slightly compressed, but it will be as good as something like a high-quality CD from back in the day. So as good as you can get through, without absolute compressionless, lossless audio. And that's because they have a built-in LDAC thing. The software that runs these is a bit finicky. Before we get into the software, same issues with the touch. Swipe up and down to control volume, swipe left, right to take care of your track skipping. Same buttons on the side, hold the power to turn it on, hold the button, same button to turn it off, and then you've got control for which version of noise canceling you want. They got rid of the no noise canceling, I believe, and now it's either active noise canceling or active pass-through. There wasn't like a middle option. The microphones in these were great. The audio quality was wonderful. One thing that you want to keep in mind, and I didn't realize this until I actually switched to these and I was watching some tutorials on how to make them sound the best online, although they do sound great out of the box. I never realized it when I was using these, is that if you're using them on your PC and your PC sound settings has these enabled as an input device, so a recording device, using the microphone for something like a Teams call, that's going to change the audio, the sound of the audio coming out into these headphones. You're going to get a lower, crunchier, lower quality audio coming into these because Windows forces the headphones to act as a headset. And for whatever reason, that changes the audio quality in the Windows like sound drivers. And so if you want these to sound the way that they should, you need to go into your sound settings in Windows, go to your record devices, which is the second tab over, and you're going to disable these, just right-click disable these as a recording device, as an input device. And within 5 seconds, you'll audibly, if you're playing like a YouTube video or a song, you'll audibly hear the audio just ramp up in quality all of a sudden out of nowhere. And you'll go, oh my God, what have I been listening to? This is so much better. And then if you do need to take a Teams call or something, you can just pop back into your sound settings and do right-click enable, and immediately you'll hear that audio quality cut back down, but then your microphones work for that. You can switch them back off when you're done. These added one new feature in the software, before I get into why I hated the software, these added one new feature in the software that I loved, which is dual device connectivity. So I could have these connected to my work laptop and my personal laptop side by side at my desk, and I could literally just like pause on my work laptop what I was doing, like say I was in a Teams call. I could leave the Teams call and then go right over to my personal laptop, and I could start playing whatever music I was listening to, and the headphones could just seamlessly move back and forth between the two. Where the software got really janky is they added a feature called speak to talk, or talk to speak, or whatever the hell it was. Basically, when it detected you talking, it would mute whatever audio you were listening to, as if you were like somehow getting into a Teams call and you needed to hear what the other person was saying. And that feature would randomly enable itself. No matter how many times I updated the firmware or downloaded the latest version of the app, it would keep happening. There is a shortcut to fix this. If you take 2 fingers and you press on the right ear cup, which is the touch-sensitive ear cup, and hold it there for about 3 seconds, it will enable or disable that feature. But the fact that I constantly had to deal with it popping on when I wasn't asking it to was really frustrating. And in general, with both of these sets of headphones, I got really tired of the touch controls really fast, and I just wanted physical buttons back. And these have the same problem with the charging, which is you can't charge them and listen to them at the same time. As soon as you plug them in, they turned off. They sound great. The microphones are great. The noise canceling is great. They're very comfortable. They have like a 40-hour battery life. They're really good, but I couldn't deal with all of the touch controls and the weirdness from the software. So enter my current headphones. These guys right here. These are the Nothing headphones. Nothing Headphones 1. Nothing is actually the name of the company. If you're not familiar with them, they're a British company. They're from the UK. The company Nothing was started by one of the founders of the company OnePlus. I've always loved OnePlus devices. I realize that they're a Chinese-based company, or they were, I don't know if they still are. But so is every company really when you look at who manufactures all of the chips and could install backdoors into the software and the controllers. Again, we're not going to get into that right now, but point is all of your phones are made in China, so it doesn't matter. So who cares if your headphones are, right? So anyways, OnePlus, I've used their phones for years. I like their headphones. I have one of their tablets, their OnePlus Tab. It's really, really good. I love their stuff. One of the co-founders of OnePlus broke off from OnePlus and was like, you guys have gone a bit too mainstream and you're getting up there in price, when our intention was always to be like, how much can we do without gouging the customers? And so he broke off and started a new company in the UK called Nothing. And they've now made a few phones. They have two tiers of phones because they kind of have two branches of the company. There's Nothing, and then there's CMF. CMF is like their ultra budget branch, and then Nothing is their like, let's see what we can do without screwing you on price brand. And they can do a lot, it seems, trust me. So I went out when I was looking for a new phone. I was trying to move on from the OnePlus that I had, which I think was the OnePlus 11 or 10, I can't remember. It might have been the 13, honestly, I don't know. But I wanted to move on from OnePlus, and I was looking at the Nothing Phone 3A, which is actually this guy right here. Yes, that is what the back of the phone looks like. That's not a case or anything. It's in a clear case, but that inside of the phone look that you're getting, that's just how the phone looks. And so I picked this phone up for myself, my wife, and my mother. I love it. I love the software. I love all of the different unique functionality to it. I like that it has a designated button on the side of it that launches ChatGPT, which is great because ChatGPT is like my best friend nowadays as far as like my brainstorming sessions and research goes. I also have the CMF Watch that came out, the latest one that came out. I think it's the CMF Watch 3, came out around the same time as the phone, the 3A. And then when it was time to look at headphones, they had just launched the new Nothing Headphones 1. Up until now, they've had a series of different earbuds from both CMF and Nothing, but then this was their first set of full-size over-ear headphones. And they have this same cool kind of like look that the phone does and a lot of their devices do. They're in these semi-square, hard metal frames around the ear cup that kind of stick off of your head a little bit, but not in an obnoxious kind of way, more in like a retro kind of way that I really love. They're very, very comfortable. I love the expanding mechanism to make the band longer so they fit on your head. It like glides out of this tension slot that it's in. The little metal arms that the ear cups are mounted on, again, I don't know if you can see that, but right here, that little black metal arm that it rests on is really sturdy. In general, they feel really sturdy. I mean, they're clearly made out of some kind of aluminum or composite aluminum, but three best features I'll give you real quick. The software that runs these allows for like a full parametric EQ with custom EQ sharing. And so what little downside the audio quality coming out of these had as far as its balance between like bass, treble, and mids, what little downside they had, which the sound is really good, I'd give it like, out of the box, I'd give it like a 7 out of 10. If you go and download a higher quality EQ setting, which there are lots of audio engineers out there right now, including like professional audio engineer firms that test devices like this and will share them. Actually, Linus Tech Tips works with a team that he had design and EQ. You can download that for free through the app, and it just upgrades the quality of the sound coming out of the headphones, and it brings it from something like a 7 out of 10, maybe an 8 out of 10, to a 9 or even a 10 out of 10. So sound quality out of these is amazing. Battery is great. It's like 40 hours on a charge. Microphones are awesome. I've taken lots of calls on these already. It sounds really good. I've also recorded myself talking through these and then listened back to it through through my PC. They sound really good, really clear, almost uncomfortably clear. Like it sounds like the person you're talking to is with you in the room. But from a hardware perspective, other than the sound quality and the microphones and the noise canceling, which is all amazing, what's wonderful about these is that they have all physical buttons. You can see looking at these ear cups, there is nothing touch about these ear cups. You're just looking at the insides of the drivers, right? All of the buttons for the controlling are right here. They are physical buttons. So you've got this sort of like tic-tac shaped pill. That's a roller as well as a click button. You can also press and hold it. Below that, you have this right here. I don't know if you can see it or if I'm doing a horrible job of blocking it. That's like a paddle button. You can click that left or right. And then on the bottom of one, and all on one ear cup, by the way, you have your USB-C plug, you have your 3.5mm jack, and you have your slider switch, which is a click on, click off little toggle switch. And you can actually tell if they're on or off because there's a light that indicates if they're on. There's also, even for Bluetooth connectivity, you don't have to press or hold anything for 8 seconds or 10 seconds or whatever. There's a hidden button inside the ear cup band right there that you can press and hold, again, physical button, to initiate Bluetooth pairing. So when you want to turn them on, you slide a physical switch. When you want to change tracks, you use that paddle back or forward, press and hold or press and hold. You can fast forward, rewind, you can move forward, you can move back. You have that roller up top, that's for your volume control. You can click that to pause or play, and you can press and hold that to change the listening mode, whether you want active noise cancellation or active pass-through. It also has, I mean, just like with everything else, nothing does. It has a really unique approach to telling you like what mode it's in. So, and this is, again, this is so minuscule of a feature, but to me it matters because it's just one more thing that makes them unique and different and cooler, in my opinion. With headphones like the Sony headphones, or if you have like a pair of Bose headphones, when you turn on active noise cancellation or something like that, or turn them on, it'll say like power on. If you turn them off, it'll say power off. If you switch into noise canceling, the Sony ones had a really funny accented like woman's voice that would say noise canceling. And then if you switch it into like passive, it would say like active pass through. Like it was just this really robotic woman's voice. With these, they decided to go a different route. They used a breathing sound effect that actually perfectly makes sense. So when you want to turn on noise cancellation, right? So when you're shutting out all of the noise around you, you think of like a valve closing, right? It's like the sound is stopping out of your ears. It's getting sucked out of your ears. And when you turn on active noise canceling, it goes, and that's the sound effect that it makes. And then when you want to turn it off and you want pass through, you want the sound to come back into your ear. It's like that opening up. The sound effect is it goes, so it's like the two halves of the breathing, like that's what they use for the active pass-through and the active noise canceling. But having physical switches and buttons and clickers and rollers is so nice compared to something like touchpads on these, which I'm so done with. I can't wait until everything goes back to physical buttons and switches and levers. It's going to be great. One final thing, and it's, again, one of the best features here. When you plug a USB-C cable into this to charge these, you do not have to turn them off. They still function perfectly normal while plugged in and charging. I don't know why nobody else could do that. I don't know if there's like an electronic challenge to doing it, if it causes interference and you need to like ultra shield the insides of the drivers. I'm not sure, but the fact that you can do it on these, that alone with the physical buttons, I think makes these worth it. The fact that they match the sound quality of headphones like Sony and like Bose means that there's really no reason not to go with these. The price is very fair. I think I got them when they were on sale for like $299, which is on par with all of the other high-end over-ear headphones, again, except for Apple, who charge an arm and a leg and one of your unborn children to purchase those. But these are really, really great. The Nothing Headphones one. They have them in different colors. I love the aluminum and white and gray pairing with like tiny red highlights. Really, really nice. Love these headphones. Would recommend you check them out if you're in the market for headphones. But that's all. Just wanted to share a little new tech with you since I've been doing a lot of old stuff. I'm probably going to get back to the old stuff now. But anyways, yeah, if you like headphones, check them out. Hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.